Jacques, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. It's your favorite idiot savant checking in on the Jordy Culotta
Welcome back.
No, you got to spin that camera one more time for that.
Woo!
You were at the earthquake game?
I was not.
I was not. Okay, you were.
I watched it on TV.
I was there. What is the wildest Auburn game experience that you have, whether it's covering or as an early part?
I used to have that VHS tape, and I'd watch the last drive all the time of that game. I could probably, I can't remember what I had for lunch yesterday, but I might be able to recount that drive play by play.
I think we did that on the air. The Willie Williams fourth down, because I could do the same thing. I mean, Jacques, I went through a period of my life where I probably watched that on repeat thousands of. I could do the play by play.
Yeah, Mike Patrick and
that's right.
Kevin Kiley,
and then Chris Fowler, a young
Chris
Fowler working the side. His first
he was a
time
field reporter
in Tiger Stadium.
Absolutely.
That night.
Yeah. That's like your favorite song or, whatever. You pick me up, go to YouTube. LSU Auburn 1988
awesome.
final drive.
The Willie Williams catch on that drive is great when he starts beating his head.
Right. He starts throwing his hands up.
Hitting himself in the head. And that guy, Kevin Kiley, Hudson's pointing to him. He's saying, Willie, it's to you, Willie. And Willie puts his big hands up and gets the first down.
Nice.
Yeah.
There you go. That's right.
You remember that, huh?
What a pass by Hodson. There was a 3rd and 5 where Hodson stepped up and he hit Tony Moss across the middle, and he got the first.
Ripped that guy's helmet off. Remember, he shook that guy's helmet off?
Yeah, the helmet flew off. And the Halliburton, well, he said at first Halliburton, and he corrected himself. My bad, it was Willie Williams.
Willie Williams, that's right.
And Halliburton was like 20 pounds lighter than Willie Williams.
And he says it.
And he said, here's your 20 pounds. And
Here's
he's
your
2
20
yards.
pounds right here. Tigers drive, stays alive. And then right then, they get the first down. First play on that first down, they hit Eddie Fuller on a post route, and Fuller drops it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm telling you, it hits him right here. And Kiley says, sometime with those pads, you can't get your arms up. But he should have caught it.
Yeah. Then
on third down, he's out of bounds.
Foot on the end line.
That's right.
And then I think Mike Patrick says, "Oh, poor Fuller. He's going to have nightmares about this."
That's right.
And then, and what made the play so significant is that you had suffered for so long because the Ohio State game, they blow it on the road.
That's right.
They had a 13-point lead and they blow it.
I think Gordy got a personal foul at the end of the game that cost them. I think Gordy got a bad personal foul.
Okay. The late Ruffin Rodrigue would tell me over and over. I think the guy that caught the touchdown for Ohio State, his name was Olive, maybe, and Ruffin just swore the guy double dribbled. He didn't even catch it. He rolled over it. It shouldn't have been a touchdown. So I went back and looked at him like, I'm not sure. But then they go to Florida, and Hodson has one of the worst games of his life, and the whole team has a terrible game on that turf, and it's hot, and I think he threw a pick 6, and it was 19-6. And then this game, they can't score. So I think it was something like 10 quarters or they didn't score a touchdown.
They were struggling.
And so 4th and 10, and you throw an 11-yard touchdown. And the defense still had to go back on the field with a little bit left to preserve Reggie Slack. I still remember he was from Milton, Florida, because I'm from Milton, Louisiana. I always remember there's another Milton out there. And there was a pass late, like on a 4th down, and there's like 2 guys in the LSU secondary who slide, and the ball bounces. Ron Sancho takes his helmet off.
That's right.
Yeah, does that.
Sancho.
Darryl Phillips at nose guard. Verge Osbury. Well, they only had to score 1 touchdown the whole game, and they finally scored. We had to keep them out of the end zone.
Still pissed.
I talked to many different people about that game. Tommy Hodson is like he's a little bit like Garth Brooks. He's had a ton of hits, but everyone wants to hear a call in Baton Rouge. That's all they talk about. Well, he threw for 9,000 yards, and some people all they talk about is this earthquake pass he threw. But that was huge. I mean, on the bad side of things, the interception game with Jamie Howard in 94, you just wonder how adults who were coaching kept throwing the ball that day.
Unreal. Was it Lynn Amity?
Lynn Amity was the offensive coordinator.
Curly
I saw him at the Pastime Pizza like a couple summers ago. I went up to him. It was very cordial, nice conversation, great LSU Tiger and everything. In the back of my mind, I'm like, Why the hell were you throwing that day? No, I didn't say it. But
Lynn, one more.
but finish that Crown and Coke real quick, and we'll talk about something else.
Because he was a quarterback at LSU, right? He was a good.
He's a quarterback at LSU, and had a long career at A&M too. I think I don't really remember. I wasn't really covering, but I just remember he was the offensive coordinator. 95, bring back the magic. That was I was right there in the north end zone when Troy Twilley. I mean, I was from here to Stewie from when Troy Twilley went up and intercepted the ball in the last play of the game.
Wow. I remember I was at that game too. That was a great one.
Let's see, 96. You know, that's why I miss Ron Franklin.
Yes.
Because I think we've talked about it. His voice brought so much drama to the game. I mean, it was like Goosebumps type stuff. You were already nervous for the game. You were waiting all day, and then Ron Franklin starts talking. You're
Welcome.
Like, oh. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Ron Franklin and Mike Godfrey. Who called
and Adrian Karsten.
Adrian Karsten, let's check in with you.
That's right.
You know, a
tragedy. 7-footer down there, tragedy.
Yeah, tragedy with Adrian Karsten. But the 96, the Rayon Hill game, I guess, right? He had a pick six for a touchdown, and he ran back a 2-point conversion. Because late in the game, Auburn was trying to tie the game.
That's right.
17-15 was the score, and Rayon steps right in front of it and runs it back to tack it on. 19-15 was the final. Mm-hmm. That was Kevin Faulk had all eyes on three shaved in his
in the back of his head.
In the back of his head.
And ESPN came in from the commercial break on the back of his head.
Yeah.
After he had done, he had either scored or he had done something good, and it had the smoke was coming off of his head, and it had the all eyes on three. I mean, it was one of the finest things you'd ever seen from Faulk.
I saw. So I'm sitting at Methuen Supermarket yesterday. I'm looking at Tiger Stadium. I see Angel Reese come by on a scooter, and it's just you go to LSU, you just gonna see all sorts of stuff. And then I get a tap on the shoulder. It's Kevin Faulk. So we're like chatting and talking about stuff. And I remember Donardo was actually ticked off at Kevin for doing that. He's like, Kevin's a very unselfish player. Yeah. He's never been about himself. I was disappointed he did that, And then I think it vanished and never came back. Auburn series, I think it was LSU's first SEC West championship. They beat them
0-1
because of 9/11. The game got moved.
It was pitch black dark in Tiger Stadium for that kickoff. I remember it was like an 8:15 kickoff. I mean, it was late. And they got the pregame penalty, which moved it up. Saban onsides it, and Clayton just takes that guy's head off. And Tuberville comes out on the field, throws a temper tantrum, and it was over. The game was over.
Yeah.
I mean, it was over. I think they went for it on a fourth down, and Lavallee stuffed Cadillac.
I always confuse the 0-1 and 0-3 games a little bit there. I think 0-3 they went for it on 4th and 1, and
that was it.
Lavallee smashed.
0-3 they went for it on 4th down, and Cadillac got smashed by Lavallee. He drove him back.
They're playing about the earthquake stuff on ESPN right now.
Mike Archer. Were you at this one? Were you at the barn burner?
No. That was 96. I was in college.
That game is you're lucky that game didn't get called off, right? I mean, that looks like
in today's social media world.
Way you play that.
Yeah. Back then, it's just the people in the stadium, and I think they said that if the wind would have shifted, there would have been a major problem because the wind, and it maybe wasn't as close as it appeared, but. If the wind would have shifted the other, and I remember Donardo. I interviewed Donardo about it, and they asked him after the game, Coach, what about that fire? And he said, what fire? He didn't even know about it because it's behind him, and he can't see it over the upper deck.
Sure.
So that was craziness.
But I'd imagine if you were standing on that ramp, you felt heat.
Yeah.
I mean, some of those shots of the ramps and the nosebleed of the flame behind it's unreal.
That's insanity. How did it catch on fire to begin with? I forgot.
It was like a barn full of hay. It was a waiting bomb, right? And I don't know if it was an accidental or clearly it was accidental.
It was the old basketball arena.
It was the old basketball arena. That's right.
And then you move into let's see.
The Jarrett Lee game.
The Jarrett Lee game in 2008 when he came in.
Hits LaFell for the win.
Hatch got knocked out.
Hatch got knocked out that night.
Yeah. Before that, I remember the Damian James went AWOL. That was the Nick Saban went. Nick Saban showed up, and there were more press there than usual. And he immediately got furious because he knew that they were there because Damian James had disappeared. And that was it's time to move on. Got it? We're moving on. All right, you got it? And the hands and all that. And then they went to Auburn and got beat 31-7. It was a 11 a.m. JP game. That was 2002.
Yep. I mean, the 04 and 06 games are controversial, like stand out. 04, the Ronnie Prude leverage jump.
Yes.
And then 06, the early Doucet, no PI call, where he's raked. His arms are raked down when he's coming across the middle.
Idiot Savant checking in. 04, I think Marcus Randall started the game.
That's right. Dwayne Bowe touchdown.
They went right down the field and scored, and because they had decided that they were going to rotate quarterbacks, Jamarcus came in, and it killed the rhythm that day.
That's right.
Now, that had flip-flopped many times where Jamarcus came in and the rhythm got better, but in this case...
it didn't work out. That was Jamarcus' first game back in Alabama. I remember his teammates telling us afterwards, he was so...
amped up,
and he had so many people in the stands, and it was his first time going back and playing in the state of Alabama that it was just one of those days.
06, and I've told you before, the gym I used to go work out at, Craig Buster Davis would work out there.
Uh-huh.
And, I mean, this is 2013, 14. It'd be 9 o'clock in the morning. And he would just get upset like it just happened. like he just discovered he had a flat tire in his car or something.
I told Lloyd and Stewie, I think that's the most upset I've ever been in a Les Miles game. All of them, the whole era. That 06 Auburn game. I mean, think about the guys that he had on the field. He scored 3 points, and at the end of the game, he let him start throwing it. I believe it was Buster. They got knocked out of bounds at the 2-yard line.
At the 2-yard line at the very end. I think 3 of those guys were first-round draft picks.
Yes.
Doucet, Bowe, Buster.
And Jamarcus was the first pick.
Jamarcus was the first pick. And they went over there, and they had Justin Vincent.
That's right.
And they had Ali Broussard coming off a knee, I
ACL.
think. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they just tried the old lineup, and here we come.
From what I was told that day, it was the day that Jimbo
decided
quit. He told Les Miles on the headset, I'm done with you, man. I'm done. I can't do this anymore. You're going to rot these 3 guys. You're going to rot this offense, and we're going to get beat. I mean, that team could have played for a national championship.
Everyone always talks about that team in 06 as one of the best teams that never won a national championship
to
and
me
should have. Yeah. They lost that game, and they went to Florida, and the stupid Tim Tebow jump pass.
I mean, they called the fumble on Jamarcus, but Hester scored the
play before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Trenton Holiday, I think he fumbled the opening kickoff of the second half, and it was kind of...
LSU thrashed Notre Dame to end the year. Pretty Brady Quinn and big Charlie Weiss in the Superdome. And on that very day, Alabama named Nick Saban their head coach. It happened on the same day.
It did.
07, obviously, Demetrius Byrd. I mean, it really wasn't 1 second left, I don't think, but for good storytelling, we say it is, and that's what was on the clock.
The more... I guess the part about it wasn't that there was 1 second left. It was really when the play started, how much time they burned. Didn't they stand over the ball at 18 seconds, 20 seconds?
It was forgotten. It was not remembered. Well, it's not forgotten, but it's not played up as much as the Ole Miss fiasco in 09 or, Tennessee, they won. But some of those other games because they won the game. And it was we scored with 1 second left. I mean, I remember Hannah to his credit on the post-game show saying it was reckless, it was crazy, it was irresponsible, it was all those things. LSU won. Right. So that was the fly by the seat of your pants year where you lost 2 games in triple overtime. And you had that game.
Undefeated in regulation.
That was like a political line. They started.
Yeah, that was.
They started pounding that line out there.
That's right.
Undefeated in regulation.
And the SEC championship game, they played a Tennessee team that was not really that good. I think they were 8-3 going into that game, and LSU did enough to get by. And then on the plane ride back that night, all the dominoes start falling. The biggest of which being West Virginia is a 27-point favorite over
Pittsburgh,
and they lost. That was the biggest domino to fall.
That's right.
And that got LSU into the...
Rich
Rodriguez. I just, life's about ups and downs and highs and lows, but you got to wonder every now and then when he turns over at 3 a.m., he thinks about, Jesus, we would have played for the national title if we win that game.
And probably win it. It was so...
That offense was so good. And that was the Darrell Revis Pitt team. He ran a punt back.
That's right. I mean...
McAfee missed 2 field goals.
Wow.
28 death threats.
15, Leonard Fournette runs over him like bowling pins.
Right.
16, It's Les Miles' last game, right?
The end of Les.
Yeah. Because I was standing right there on the
Messed
field.
the clock up.
What's that?
Messed the clock up.
Yeah, again.
Time ran out. I mean, like,
and he scored.
And he scored.
I was standing right there when they all celebrated. And when you're not watching on TV, you miss a lot.
Yeah,
when you're down
for
south,
sure.
you don't know what's going on.
Absolutely.
And then it's like, wait a second. Take a look at this. And we had a great shot. Darren got a great shot of Leonard and Darius. They were kneeling side by side, just looking up like this.
I remember that.
And they called it, and like, game over. And I remember we stopped at, what's that, the Shed Barbecue and whatever the next day.
Off I-12?
Off I-12, and we interviewed, I think it's Tom Bro. He was the biggest Les Miles advocate. And at that point, he said, that's it. I'm done with this guy. And at that point, I looked at